I'm 79 years old, and my best friend has been gone for 3 years now. We were friends for just over 50 years. And the part that still wakes me up at night is this: I didn't lose him to an accident. I didn't lose him to distance or fate. I lost him because of choices I kept making quietly over time, and most of those choices felt reasonable when I made them. I'm not telling this to clear my conscience. That door closed when he died. I'm telling it because I'm running out of time, and some truths shouldn't die with the person who finally understands them. These days my mornings are slow. I wake up before the sun most of the time. My joints ache in familiar places. I make coffee even though my doctor says I shouldn't drink much of it anymore. I sit in the same chair by the window and look out at a street I've lived on for 22 years, where most of the people I once knew are gone or strangers now. That chair is where I think about him the most. Because it's quiet. And because there's no one left to interrupt the thoughts. His name was Daniel, everyone called him Dan. We met when we were both 29 working at the same manufacturing plant. I had just moved to town. He showed me where the good diner was, the one that served breakfast all day. He talked too much. I listened. That became our rhythm. We weren't the kind of friends who talked about feelings. We talked about work, about cars, about the weather, about politics sometimes when we shouldn't have. We complained about our bosses and laughed at things that weren't all that funny, but we were there, always there. We raised our families around the same time. Our kids played together in the yard. Our wives tolerated our long evenings in the garage pretending to fix things that didn't need fixing. When money was tight, we didn't talk about it directly, but we both knew. When one of us was scared, we filled the space with noise. For a long time, that felt like enough. Looking back, I can see how the erosion started. Not with a fight. Not with betrayal. But with delay. I started saying things like, "I'll call him next week." Or "once this project is done." Or "things will slow down after the kids are out of the house." There was always a reason. And the reasons sounded responsible, they sounded adult. In my 40s, work became heavier, promotions came with longer hours. I told myself I was doing it for my family. That part was true, but I also liked the feeling of being needed, of being important somewhere. Dan stayed at the same level most of his career. He never complained about it, or maybe he did and I didn't listen closely enough. He had a steadiness to him. He clocked out on time, he went home, he showed up to things. I started missing small things first. A birthday dinner I skipped because I was tired. A fishing trip I canceled because I had paperwork to finish. A phone call I let go to voicemail because I didn't feel like talking. Each time, I meant to make it up later. We still saw each other. Just less. And when we did, the conversations stayed on the surface. There was always a sense that we'd really talk next time, that the important stuff could wait. It always feels like it can wait. Until it can't. The first real crack came when his wife got sick. Nothing dramatic at first, just fatigue, then tests, then appointments that multiplied. I told him I was sorry, I meant it. I said, "Let me know if you need anything." He didn't ask. And I didn't offer again. I told myself he had family, that he had other friends, that I didn't want to intrude. These were comfortable thoughts. They allowed me to stay where I was. When she died, I went to the funeral. I stood next to him, I put my hand on his shoulder, I said the right words. I stayed for an hour, then I left because I had work early the next morning. I didn't see the look on his face when I walked away. I wish I had. After that he changed, or maybe I just noticed. He called more often, not to talk about anything specific, just to hear a voice. I think I answered sometimes, other times I didn't. I remember one evening clearly. He called while I was watching television. I saw his name on the screen, I let it ring. I told myself I'd call back after the show ended. I never did. The next time we talked, he didn't mention it. He never mentioned the things that hurt him, that was his way. Years passed like that. We aged without realizing it, our hair thinned, our bodies slowed, the world moved faster than we did. When I retired at 65, people congratulated me. They asked what I'd do with all my time. I told them I'd relax, that I'd reconnect with old friends. I meant Dan. But I still didn't call him right away. I told myself he'd always been there, that he always would be. Then one afternoon my phone rang. It wasn't his number. It was his daughter. She told me he'd had a stroke, that it was bad, that he was in the hospital. I drove there in silence, my hands tight on the wheel. I rehearsed things I wanted to say, apologies, jokes, familiar lines. When I walked into his room, he was smaller than I remembered. Machines hummed softly. His eyes opened when he saw me. He smiled. That smile is something I will carry with me until I die. He tried to speak, he couldn't get the words out. I took his hand, I told him I was there. I told him I was sorry for not calling more. I don't know how much he understood. He squeezed my hand once. That was all. He died 2 days later. There was no final conversation. No clearing of the air. No chance to become the friend I should have been sooner. What's gone is gone. Not just him, but the version of me who still had time to fix things. That's the part people don't tell you about regret. It isn't loud. It doesn't scream at you all at once. It sits with you. It waits for quiet moments. It shows up when there's no one left to distract you. I replay ordinary days now. Days I didn't think mattered. Days I chose convenience over connection. I don't think I was a bad man. I think I was distracted. I think I assumed continuity. I think I believed relationships were sturdy enough to survive neglect. Some aren't. If you're listening to this, I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just telling you what I wish I had understood earlier. People don't disappear all at once. They fade when you stop showing up. Time feels abundant until it doesn't. And the last chance usually doesn't announce itself. I have memories I'm grateful for. And I have silence where conversations should have been. Both are mine to carry now. I don't have many years left, I know that. I spend them quietly, I tend to my small routines, I talk to fewer people, I think more than I used to. Sometimes I imagine Dan sitting across from me, listening the way he always did. I tell him things I never said out loud. I don't expect forgiveness, I just need to say them. If this meant something to you, maybe it's because you still have someone you assume will always be there. I hope you're right. I just was. That's all I have to say. The rest is silence.